out. If your enemy's a road ahead of full prophecy to be the greatest beast the world has ever seen. I feed him every day like the bones clean. I feed him all the hate and he grows me. And he gets claws real big, pissed off quick. And if you cross him, you might drop dead. Metaphorically, of course, settling the sword. Never getting bored, loves the blood and gore. Always wanting more freedom from the source. They don't really understand until they feel the force apart. If you start shit, you'll be heartless in the darkness. Torn apart quick, you left scars ripped. You'll be chewed up and discarded. And this world ain't right, won't accept it. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it. You better give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate. Pressure, it's stormy weather, lightning, thunder, pouring weather. Yo, I'm a go-getter, try to do it like me, but I do it better. I got a mind that's clever, the beast inside is competitive as ever. I'm conscious, my subconscious, an accomplice to me. I promise the darkness, I can honest believe. But don't cross me, I might lose control of the lost beast. He's locked away inside with the key control by fight or flight. And this world ain't right, won't accept it. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it. You better give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate.
What is going on, guys? I apologize. This computer and setup has been moved all around. I'm working off two screens and my media player is not working, so I have to play Spotify. It is what it is. Hopefully you guys are having a great Saturday morning. And yeah, I apologize. No shirt today. I didn't have time to go change. Damn it. I'm like, I didn't get to make my second cup of coffee. I'm like just trying to figure this out. If anybody knows how to make the media player work, if you're getting like a it's like an error, it just says cannot be found, and I'm like googling shit, I just can't figure it out, so whatever. Anyways, let me see who the hell is here in the chat real quick. I have like literally nothing ready, so let's see. What is up, Miss Pocket Change? Mr. Nerd Beast, good to see you. Let's see, Patrick Murphy, Steven Cicero, Max Voltage, good morning. Hopefully, you know what, we're gonna have to get together before Saturday Night Live and make sure all my shit works right, because every time I unplug stuff, this is what happens. All right, let's see. Good morning, Mr. Leo Lustig. He likes the poster. Yes, I put this up for you. And you know what's cool? Well, what's neat? So I had, with the pictures in the background, the glass film that was over them was reflecting like all the random lights I have around here. So I took the glass and I just put it behind the picture so it doesn't reflect. It actually worked out mint. And I stole another frame for my man, Elon Musk, right there. Let's see. Alvidis, what's up, buddy? Black Hat, good to see you guys. Anyways, really? That's my line. And it's too early to drink. What are you saying, Max? Oh, what did I say anyways? Yeah, it's not too early to drink, buddy. I guess it just depends where you are. All right, let's check out this market. Let me see. Sorry, I'm working off two screens, so it's gonna be a little brutal. Let me see what the hell I gotta do here. All right, Bitcoin. We have 25,838. Ethereum looks like 1636. Let's see. Doge, we at a little under 6.5 cents. LTC 63 bucks. BNB 214, XRP under 50 cents. Interesting. Let's see. We have on crypto bubbles here, Caspa is up 3.4% today, looking at just about 3.5 cents, just under rather. We have XDC network, which is, what is this, up 3.1% at 5 cents, almost 6 cents. Nothing too crazy, really nothing too crazy. Small percentages all around. All right, fear and greed index, let's check it out. We have 39 on the fear and greed index. Again, starting to get into that really fearful territory, so this is the time that we look to purchase. Bitcoin, Ethereum, that's top 10 coins by coin market cap. Tether, BNB, XRP, USD Coin, Lado Staked Ether, Cardano, Dogecoin, Solana, Litecoin, and Shiba, 15th and 16th. So everything's pretty much the same as it was the other day. All right, well, without further ado, I want to get into this. I'll be able to talk to you guys in the chat. Again, I got to just do some stuff on the side while we're listening to this. So this is Crypto Worlds. This is the SEC delays decision on the spot Bitcoin ETF. I don't know if you guys heard about that. Yeah, they came in, delayed things now. So I guess we're going to have to see what happens. But I mean, they, I think they have like 3 set dates anyways. And the last date they can delay until is like January 4th or something of next year, or 10th. I can't remember, to be honest, but it's around there. So anyways, without further ado, let's listen to this, see what they got to say over on Crypto World, and we'll go from there. Let's do it.
Today, the SEC delays making a decision on a bunch of spot Bitcoin ETF applications. Robinhood buys back Sam Bankman-Fried's stake in the company. And Paul Brody of EY explains why he thinks companies can use Ethereum to supercharge their business. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Tanea McKeel. The crypto market kicking off September in the red after capping its worst month of 2023. By noon Eastern, Bitcoin had dropped about 4% to the $25,000 level, while Ether fell 3% to $16.34. XRP was also down more than 3% at 50 cents. The gains made after the Grayscale court ruling just could not last. In the past 7 days, Bitcoin's dropped about 0.5%, while Ether fell about 0.7%. Okay,
did you hear that also Uniswap, when they did that whole thing in court, the judge actually said that Ethereum was a commodity now, which is kind of interesting.
Let's talk about the top stories. First, the SEC just delayed making a decision on a bunch of spot Bitcoin ETF applications as expected. It filed 7 notices yesterday, pushing the deadline to October for proposals for nearly all of the spot Bitcoin ETFs under review, including those from BlackRock and Fidelity. The delay comes 2 days after a court ruled in favor of Grayscale over the SEC, requiring the agency to further review the company's application to convert its popular Bitcoin Trust product into an ETF. The SEC has 240 days to consider an application once it starts the review process. So theoretically, it can keep pushing the latest wave of applications until March 2024. Back in August, the SEC delayed a decision on another spot Bitcoin ETF under review from ARK Invest in partnership with 21 Shares. The final deadline for that proposal now stretches into January 2024. Next, as Bitwise awaits a decision from the SEC on its spot Bitcoin ETF, the firm is pulling the plug on another crypto ETF proposal. The firm requested a withdrawal of the Bitcoin and Ether market cap strategy ETF, saying the trust no longer intends to seek effectiveness of the fund, or in other words, to launch the product on an exchange. Bitwise originally filed the proposal with the SEC last month, and the ETF would have given investors exposure to both Bitcoin and Ether futures contracts. At the same time, though, Bitwise is still optimistic on the approval of spot Bitcoin ETFs. Matt Hogan, the company's CIO and a veteran of the ETF business, told CNBC's ETF Edge on Wednesday that he thinks Grayscale's court win this week means we might see a spot ETF by the end of 2023. Finally, Robinhood just bought back Sam Bankman-Fried's stake in the company. The trading platform announced on Friday that it completed the purchase of all 55 million shares, worth about $605.7 million. The U.S. government had seized those assets from Emergent Fidelity Technologies, which was co-founded by SBF and former FTX exec Gary Wang. Bloomberg reported that Emergent went bankrupt back in February with only that Robinhood stake and $20 million in cash as assets. Just days after that bankruptcy announcement, Robinhood's board approved the plan to buy back those shares. All right, for our main story, let's talk about Ethereum. I caught up with Paul Brody, the global blockchain leader for EY, to discuss his new book on how companies can use Ethereum's blockchain to grow their business. You have a new book out, Ethereum for Business, a plain English guide to the use cases that generate returns from asset management to payments to supply chains. Why do you think specifically Ethereum is the blockchain that will drive the most growth for businesses and not one of its competitors?
The world of technology really, really loves a standard, right? And if you go back 10, 20 years, we used to have multiple different networking standards. Today, everything is internet protocol, which actually started as a protocol to connect up all the different networks, whether it's PC operating systems or network protocols. Industries love standards. And kind of history of technology is one where we tend to end up with monopoly standards. Ethereum has been the leader in that period space for quite some time. Typically, it's really, really hard to dislodge a industry leader or an industry standard after it's been around for 5 to 10 years. So my expectation is for sure there will be only kind of one blockchain ecosystem to rule them all. And at this stage, it looks most likely that it's going to be Ethereum.
Go a little bit further for me on why. We've had a lot of news about companies exploring NFTs or crypto payments, but beyond the hype and beyond the innovation and the like shiny new thing, what is the real benefit that you pitch for businesses here?
So for
She's so much louder than
the
he
value
is.
proposition of blockchain is somewhat independent of which blockchain it is, provided it's a public blockchain. So in that respect, people have called me an ETH maxi, but I'm really an ETH pragmatist. When it comes to enterprises and the value proposition, the real value here is around automating these business relationships that companies have. So over the last 20 or 30 years, in the course of my career, the big focus in enterprise computing has been this implementation of these things called enterprise resource planning systems, ERPs. And the purpose of ERP is to connect up all the parts of an enterprise together. And the thing that's really, really challenged enterprises is that the minute you leave the enterprise, the minute you want to collaborate with a supplier or a customer, all the really cool things that you've done for the last 20 years pretty much become useless. Like all this analytics, business process management stuff, we're back to like emailing each other spreadsheets or sending each other PDF documents. And the beauty of a blockchain is with a blockchain, I can have a buyer and a seller interact with each other. They can do so using complex business logic, moving assets back and forth, and they can do it in an ecosystem that is neutral and it's not dominated by any central party that could later on monetize their data or anything like that.
So it looks like the goal of the book, it's for executives who may not have the technical background in crypto. So of the execs that you've spoken to, what has that learning curve been like? What is sort of the specific aha moment for business leaders that you've tried to get across?
So there's actually a whole series of aha moments. The first thing happens when you talk to business leaders that they're like, we don't want crypto. We don't want to be in crypto. We don't buy and sell in Bitcoin or whatever. So the first thing is there's this misconception that blockchains necessarily mean crypto. Now, that's one really important one. And we explained to them, stable coins mean that you shouldn't have to transact in anything other than dollars or euros or yen or whatever your business currency is. The second big hurdle we always get to is, well, I'd really be more comfortable on a private blockchain. But the problem with private blockchains is the same as any kind of private centralized system. Eventually, someone is going to be in charge of that, and they're going to they're going to start monopolizing that ecosystem. So eventually, and we've seen this over and over again, we actually did a survey a couple of years ago, almost everybody who tries a private blockchain eventually realizes they need to go to a public blockchain. And then the last thing is, okay, I get it. I don't have to use crypto. I don't have to be on a private blockchain. But now explain to me, what are the actual useful use cases? And the purpose of the book is really in two parts. Number one, explaining how this technology works on public blockchains with things that enterprises need, like privacy. And then secondly, getting to okay, you can do inventory management, supply chain, business operations, procurement. What are the things that you can do? And what's the value specifically to your enterprise of being able to do them?
Regulation has really been the theme of the year and likely will be throughout, through the end of 2023. So for Ethereum, how much of a drawback is the state of regulation for the network? Most of the talk about regulation has to do with the ETH token, whether it's a security or not, but does that trickle into decision-making for businesses looking to adopt the technology? And I look at banking, for instance, which has been hesitant to jump all the way into crypto without regulatory clarity. What do you make of it?
And this is exactly it, right? Without regulatory clarity, the finance side of the business is not going to be comfortable jumping in. So that sort of takes a whole sector out of the game for some period of time. I am very optimistic about the regulatory clarity path because in the European Union, in Japan, across the Middle East, and eventually here in the US, we are going to get there. There's court decisions that are moving in favor. There's bipartisan legislation in the US. So I'm generally optimistic that we are going to converge on a good regulatory outcome. But one of my key messages to business leaders is, in most cases outside of finance, you don't need the SEC's approval or any regulatory approvals to do inventory management, optimize your procurement, cut down on your interaction costs with your business partners. None of that's required. You can do all of those things without any regulatory approval.
Can you compare for me adoption of enterprise blockchain technology here in the US versus abroad? Another theme that comes up in my reporting again and again is when it comes to the crypto assets, they say, regulation's not going to kill Bitcoin or anything, but there is the fear of the US losing its edge to the rest of the world because of its strict regulatory stance. How does that trend translate to when it comes to enterprise blockchain?
We are losing our edge. So enterprise blockchain, not that different from sort of the financial side of things. The US market was bigger sooner than pretty much anywhere else. At the moment, if I look at our business, so last year we were down a little bit with the crypto winter. So far this year, we're actually up in all of our geographies in pretty much every sector. However, Europe and Asia are up to a much greater degree than the US. We've got European and Asian clients who are doing a bit more cutting edge stuff at the moment. That's a change from only about 12 to 18 months ago, where I think US clients were a bit more optimistic. Our US clients haven't stopped working. This is an important thing. Our clients are quietly working behind the scenes. They're still preparing for a day when all of this is going to be allowed. But the pace of preparation has slowed down, whereas it's really speeding up, especially in the European Union, where the markets in crypto assets law, the MiCA laws, are going to take effect in the middle of next year. And that's going to have an incredibly catalyzing effect on the finance side of the equation, especially.
Well, we can't let you leave without talking about the news of the week. So, obviously we have been watching investors sort of weigh the court decision yesterday in favor of Grayscale in its lawsuit against the SEC. That is about Bitcoin ETFs, obviously, but Ethereum, Ether, and the rest of the crypto market broadly did rally after the news. What do you make of that? What is the driving factor behind the optimism for Ethereum? And ultimately, when we look at prices, we're just looking at the assets, but, as Ethereum is one of the sort of blue chip assets in crypto, how does the optimism, the hope around a potential Bitcoin ETF affect Ethereum as a network?
So two things there to sort of unpack. The first, on the regulatory and court decisions, to me, the most optimistic thing I'm seeing is that we have this fantastic kind of rule of law experience happening right before our eyes, right? There's differing opinions. The US is a relatively decentralized regulatory environment, so it's not surprising that different regulators won't be fully in alignment with each other. And the courts are acting as kind of a rule of law and the check on this process. And I think encouragingly, what's happening is they're driving everybody towards the consensus table of, hey, what we really need to fix this is bipartisan legislation. So that's one of the things that makes me optimistic. When it comes to ETFs and the flow for assets, there's a couple of interesting things going on. Number one, yes, Bitcoin, it's a Bitcoin ETF we're talking about, but actually there's more, I think, Ethereum ETFs pending in front of the SEC and other regulators than any other major asset. And once these things get approved, it's going to unleash a tidal wave of institutional money, stuff that cannot touch
be insane.
Bitcoin or Ethereum without regulatory approval. So that's one huge impact. And you only need to allocate a very small amount of institutional assets, of which there's a couple $100 trillion around the world, into these ecosystems to substantially affect the price. The second thing that's going on, and this is the area where I think long-term I'm most optimistic around the value of Ethereum as an ecosystem, is the returns on ETH, the staking rewards and things like that, are directly tied to the transaction processing business, right? If you don't think of ETH as a cryptocurrency, if you think of it as a global computing platform that generates return based on the use of computing resources, it looks like a very sustainable, to my way of looking, that ecosystem looks like it has an incredibly sustainable, compelling advantage, an ecosystem of very enthusiastic developers, myself and EY included, in our investments in building applications that enterprises and individuals can use.
Okay, that's
All right, I don't know. I think the full interview is over there, guys. I'm working off two screens. This thing's like it's very tough for me to navigate through everything. But anyways, I'm trying to pay attention in the chat. Mr. Leo Lustig, so he makes. Let me move this. He makes these posters. This one right here. I don't know if I can block my eyes and it'll focus. Maybe no. Maybe not. Anyways, he makes a bunch of posters. So like, I'm gonna have him post his store in the chat if you guys are interested. Also, hit that like button, guys. Appreciate you for hanging out with me. Let's get into this. This is Gareth Soloway. So he's the guy that does like the trading stuff, and it's an 18-minute video. We're gonna raid Crypto Mikkel after this. Let's get into this quick. Just see what he has to say. I'm gonna try to speed it up a little bit as well to 1.25 over here on Altcoin Daily's video. And yeah, no further ado, let's dive into it.
In this next bull market, where do you see Bitcoin? What's the range you see Bitcoin topping?
We could potentially be looking at the next cycle high, the next bull market high right now. For me as a technician, I'm going to start to accumulate heavily on Ethereum if, you know what, a good trader will change their view based on what the charts and the data is telling me.
Today, I interview trading expert and 20-year veteran Gareth Soloway, and we discuss what comes next for Bitcoin. What's your next price target?
Oh, maybe they talk too fast. That's so weird. 1.25. Let's just do normal. Whatever.
Ethereum. Is the housing market about to crash? But before all that, Gareth, what are your thoughts on the state of investing today in general?
Yeah, so I mean, in general, you have the stock market that's had a tremendous run since October of last year. It's starting to show cracks, though, right? Apple missed earnings, or they fell on earnings. Nvidia's kind of been holding up the market, you could argue. Microsoft's kind of rolled over. We've seen Bitcoin and crypto start to kind of come down off of its recent run. And so these are things that I do pay attention to, and it's momentum that's stalling out, and eventually you run out of buyers, right? So at some point you have to have a correction. The question is it still within the bear market, or is it a bull market? And that's really what we're trying to figure out. Now, when I look at the charts, I look at history. History is really what gives me my basis. And if we go back to past cycles on Bitcoin, it wasn't unusual to see a 100% or more bounce in Bitcoin, even within a bear market. So it makes me a little skeptical. I also think that price action is one of the best indicators. And what we can see here is this was the BlackRock spot ETF news, and it had a big move, and it couldn't break out above this 32,000 level. We then got the news on Ripple winning the case, or predominantly winning the case against the SEC. It stalled and couldn't break out. We then just recently got the news on GBTC, the judge found in their favor, and it popped, and we've done a full retrace already. So to me, when I view that, it's price action, and it's telling me that the bounces or the pops are getting sold into still, and that's a warning sign, at least in the near term.
If you zoom out a little, I'm seeing higher lows. Yep. I guess we just broke that, but does that signify the break of the broader trend you're saying?
Yeah, that is higher lows, right? Looks right.
So in the near term, right, so there's bull markets within bear markets. There's what we would refer to as micro bulls within a macro bear, the macro being the big, micro being the bull. And so there's no doubt that we've been in a micro bull market with a low, higher low, higher low. And even here, we still haven't taken out this low yet on Bitcoin. So you could still technically say it's a higher low if we turn around here. So that, in terms of technicals, this is something, a huge thing that I'm watching is, do we take out this 24,800 to 900 level and actually make a lower low? Now, if we flip over to the Ethereum chart real quick, one of the things to note is that Ethereum did make a lower low. Here's your last low, and here's a lower low. So we see that as you go further up the risk curve, meaning that Ethereum is riskier than Bitcoin, Polygon, Solana, and the rest are riskier. They've made lower and lower points versus Bitcoin is still barely, but it is holding on to those higher lows in the market. So it is interesting to see that.
So what are your next price targets for Bitcoin?
Yeah, so what we had here was we had this little bearish flag pattern, which then ultimately...
He does kind of sound like Ben Sharpio. That's the worst. Why'd you do that to us? God damn it, Miss Pocket Change.
failed, and we saw a beautiful pop on the back of that news. Now, the fact that we've come back in and retraced is not a good thing, right? Generally, after a pop, you look for sideways consolidation, which is known as bull flagging. It's essentially building energy before the next move. When you come down like this, it tells me we're likely going lower. So in the charts, it tells me 24,800, 25,000 is your next support level. If that can hold, we want to see it bounce and start to kind of bounce up and make new short-term higher highs again.
Real quick,
Eagle,
good puts.
Smeagol,
Thank you, buddy.
sun, sunflower, woman, genie, pickaxe,
I love how it reads all the emojis.
swag, lol, tryouts.
Thank you so much for the 249 euro. You're awesome, buddy. Appreciate it. And yeah, dude, that's weird. This guy does sound exactly like Ben Shapiro or Shapiro. How do you say his name? Is this Shapiro? I think it's Shapiro, right? I totally botched it first.
If that fails, then you're headed to 20,000. And if that fails, then we're heading back to 15.7, 15.6 area. So
Do you guys think it's going to get down to 15? Let me see. What did I write in the chat? I have a poll. So I said Bitcoin going to have another pullback. 74% of you say yes. But how far do you guys think it's going to pull back to? Just put it in the chat, whatever you think it's going to be. I have 21% know the bottom's in, 6% not sure. I'm going to leave the poll open, but interesting to see where you guys are at. I'm wondering if it'll go back to 15. I doubt it. It would be very nice, but I don't think it'll go that far down. That's just my opinion. And did you guys also know that what's it called? BlackRock invested in four of the top 5 mining facilities, I guess, around the area. They like invested a shit ton of money into 4 of them. Every one except for Hut 8 in the top 5. So it was kind of weird and neat at the same time, but I don't know if you guys heard about that. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. Somebody actually in the live chat told me about it. All right, let's continue this.
Right now, as a technician, and I think this is important to say, is that you have to stay kind of neutral. Whatever the chart's telling you, that's the direction you go. You have to respect support. So I respect 25,000, but if it breaks, then right away I go to that next target of 20,000 as a target price on Bitcoin.
Let me ask you a big picture, more thought-provoking question. Again, different traders would have different answers, but all right, I guess this is just specifically for you, this first part. You've told me in past interviews we've done on the channel that the thing that would get you to change your mind a little earlier in the bullish direction is if we got positive regulation. Now, in the last few months, we saw Ripple beat the SEC. We just saw Grayscale beat the SEC. If, as a investor, I want to be thinking 6 months down the line, not necessarily investing where the markets are today, but where I think they'll be in 6 months. Isn't that the turnaround?
Yeah, so you're partially right in that. So the news we've seen, and I want to be clear for everyone watching, is the news is fundamentally really good for crypto and Bitcoin, right? So these are wins for Bitcoin and crypto overall. They don't change the short-term fear and greed factors, which are what technicals are. So technicals will give you the short-term move. Wins like we're seeing with the SEC give us the fundamental backdrop of the strengthening crypto market. And so once we get through this and we do get firm regulation and we know what is a security, what's not, what are these regulators are asking for, how is Bitcoin going to be regulated, if at all, and then is it become an asset that pension funds hold on their investment sheets. So these are all things that, whether it's 6 months or 12 months or 18 or 24, those will be really good drivers of the next bull market. But in the short term, there's this disenchantment with Bitcoin and crypto where people, honestly, every time they're buying these pops on this good news, they're getting burned. And so there's this almost like a kid touching a hot stove where you touch it once, ow, you touch it twice, ow, you're not touching it again until you see something bigger occur here. And I think that's what's going on here, is that you just don't have a lot of participation. There's obviously the crypto Twitter group who's going to be hardcore regardless, but we need more than that to really turn around price action at this point.
And macro is still a huge, the waves of macro is still affecting crypto in a big way. So thinking of those other markets, the stock market, the housing market, gold, I don't know what, I guess, concerns you the most, or what are you looking at?
Yeah, so I mean, the housing market's insane, right? Because it's basically frozen. We had a situation, and this I find this fascinating because I don't think it's happened in history, where interest rates went up so fast that people that were in 3% mortgages, it wasn't enough time where they had a chance to get a 4% and sell their current house and get a 4% mortgage, which isn't such a big difference. They went up so fast that those people aren't going to sell their homes and flip into a 7 to 8% mortgage. And then on the other side, prices have stayed so high and interest interest rates have soared that everyone else who wants to buy a home can't afford a home. And so you have these two sides and no one's meeting in the middle to create a transaction. And that's really what we look for with markets. You have to have a buyer and seller willing to meet in the middle. And there's not that going on right now. So you have a stagnant, frozen housing market. Then you have a backdrop where we're starting to see a little bit of weaker economic news, maybe. So maybe the Fed will stop hiking rates. But the question is inflation too high that they can't lower rates? And that's what the market wants. That's what Bitcoin wants, is that they want that free money flowing again to really get their mojo going. And it's debatable whether or not inflation will be low enough for them to do that. And so there's a lot of things going on here, you know, economically, fundamentally, that are creating issues for Bitcoin. And one of my fears is, could Bitcoin actually make a new low? And I would say that fundamentally Bitcoin's only getting stronger. So you normally, by looking at the data and what we're seeing in the news, you would say no. But then you go and you say, okay, well, what if we enter a recession and that recession causes the NASDAQ to fall 30 or 40%? Is Bitcoin able to hold up in that environment? And I would argue that fear and panic are more pervasive than fundamental news, as we're seeing by these recent pullbacks after these news. And that would make me nervous that we still have the potential to make new lows on Bitcoin before the next bull market starts.
So your message is, guys, I know Bitcoin's been rallying the first half of the year. I've been saying 12K is a possibility forever. It's a possibility. I was right. It's happening as I predicted. Is that your message?
Not happening.
Well, I'm not right yet because it hasn't happened.
That's fair.
But I would say that it's still very much on the table, even though fundamentally I think the news has been amazing for Bitcoin and it strengthens the long term. So basically everything I've seen in the news tells me that Bitcoin's here to stay and the price will eventually go up. So if your time horizon is 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, this is a rounding error at this point, whether it goes down to 15 again or 12 or whatever it may be, you're not going to look back and care whether you got in here or not. If you're someone like me who's a trader, then you're much more concerned with 10, 15, 20% moves in Bitcoin because you're looking to trade that.
Speaking of a recession, which could take all markets down, especially crypto, do you think we're about to see a housing market crash comparable to 07, 08? Because like you said, the Fed has essentially killed both the supply side and the demand side, killed the market.
So I do think when things unfreeze, it's going to be nasty. And the reason I say that is because when things unfreeze, it's going to be because of a couple things. Number one, if you look at how many people own multiple properties that got into the Airbnb game. So as soon as the economy weakens and they're not paying their mortgages by renting their Airbnbs because the economy is too weak, people aren't doing that anymore, then those houses are going to go into foreclosure. And once they
I never thought about that. That's a really good point, actually, because that's a huge business nowadays. Everybody's buying properties just to use them for Airbnbs. And when people aren't renting them anymore, now what? Now you're fucked.
Into foreclosure and the economy weakens, interest rates will come down, and everyone who wants to move out of their 3% mortgage house, which again, remember, people don't, it's not that the mortgage, it's not that people don't want to move right now. They just can't afford to. They can't flip a 3% into a 7 or 8%.
100%.
So as soon as those mortgage rates come down, there will be a flood of people that put their houses on the market trying to get out, and that will create an excess demand and you'll see a collapse. Now, is it going to be as deadly as what we saw in 07, 08, 09? Probably not at this point, but the commercial real estate, that's another story. That is a horrendous mess. And I know you live in LA and you see what's going on there with big companies moving out and office buildings empty. There is a lot of dead weight on these banks' balance sheets because of that.
100%. In LA, there's no bigger example. Can we look at the charts, either Bitcoin, the stock market, whatever, but give me sort of a timeline. If this stuff were to happen, where do you see these lows happening? Q4, Q1?
Yeah, so for me, at least, when I'm looking at Bitcoin is I do believe that we'll probably test 25,000 in the next week or two. Once that breaks, you're probably within a month of testing 20, and then I would say by year end, you're testing your 15,700 level. So we're really not that far away. I think 3, 4, 5 months, maybe early 2024 from retesting these lows. Once we get to this point, and you're already seeing it, right? So bear market bottoms, they bottom when people get burned so many times that they throw in the towel. We're not there in crypto yet, but you're starting to see where these good news pops occur, and then we see a flush. That's really hurting the psyche of the investor. And that's part of what a bear market does to break your will to make a bottom. So I think by the time we get down to these 15,000-ish lows and we break that, that should really be the culmination final dump out. Whether we get to 12, whether we get to 10, I don't know. But ultimately, I think the bottom is probably put in by early 2024 in Bitcoin. And then we'll have to see if the halving starts to have that impact where we start to see it go up. What do we see about that? But yeah, I think that for me is really important.
Could you imagine,
and then if we look at the S&P here,
if that happens, if it goes down below 15,000 towards the end of the year, right before the halving, can you imagine how much shit that is going to stir up, like, everywhere? I feel like that's really not going to be good at all.
S&P 500
if that happens,
is still relatively near its highs, right? So here's your 2022 highs in October, and look at the rally we've been on. But one thing I've noticed is that we had a bigger pullback here. We still have a higher low. So here was your last low. This is still technically higher. So that's bullish. But my guess is we're going to start to roll over and actually make a lower low. And I expect the stock market to start to pan lower as well. And actually, I think by the second quarter of 2024, we'll be at these lows in October. And that's really where that culmination of the Bitcoin lows and the stock market lows could come together.
So he's thinking the S&P is going to drop down over 100, down to the 350 area.
And we brushed over Ethereum. You mentioned it. Can we look at price targets for ETH too? Because like you said.
So yeah, so let me just go into this chart here on Ethereum. And what we could see is Ethereum still holding technical support. Right around 1,600 to 1,650 is still support.
We have Max Voltage getting fired up in the chat. It says people forget that Bitcoin usually does well in a reducing interest rate environment. I think this guy is full of crap. Max is calling bullshit. I wish I had a bullshit button. I'd totally hit it.
Pierced the low, which made it lower low, but it still bounced back above. Now, if you take that lower low out and you take out this area, you're headed down towards 1375, and then ultimately you're headed down to about 1100. Now, interestingly enough, I want to show you guys this. There's a head and shoulders pattern here on the chart of ETH, right? So we have a shoulder here. Here's your head, okay? And here's your other shoulder. Now, your break point, this white line was your neckline.
That's a head and shoulders? That don't look like no head and shoulders to me, but I guess that's in a strange, uneven world, that is. Real quick, Max also said, once the economy is clearly in a recession, the feds will reduce rates and Bitcoin will pump. Honestly, I agree with you, Max. I agree with you there for sure, 100%.
Which broke, and that kickstarted a move down that will culminate. And I want to show you this because this is really cool. You can actually calculate your target on your head and shoulders. So how low should this head and shoulders fall? You take the highest point of the head, drop a plumb line down right to the neckline. So it's 665 points. And from the break point where the neckline gets broken, you do that same drop, 665 points, and basically you're at this target down here. So for me as a technician, I'm going to start to accumulate heavily on Ethereum if I say if because there's no guarantees in trading,
11.
But if we get down to the completion of this head and shoulders, which is what should happen here, I'll be accumulating right around 1100 quite heavily on Ethereum.
1100.
And what if you're wrong? Because I feel like around 20K, everybody's expecting lower lows, and we rallied this first half of the year.
Yep.
So what happens then?
Yeah, so and that's a great question. So what you do is, and let's just go back to Bitcoin. So there's very much defined levels on Bitcoin. So for me, this was the line in the sand that I talked about. Even maybe when we talked last, we were talking about this 31-ish level. If we get above that, then I think that's the culmination saying that, okay, this is a new bull market. But as long as we stay below this level, which was rejected multiple times, then I think for me, at least, I'm in the camp that this is a bear market rally versus a bull market, new bull market.
In our final few minutes, I want to look into next year, past the halving, because as you know, as you mentioned, that's a huge catalyst, cuts the supply faucet in half. In this next bull market, whenever that is, where do you see Bitcoin? What's the range you see Bitcoin topping?
Wow, that's a great question. So for me, I would tend to look at trend lines and going to trend line analysis. And I mean, if we talk next bull market, we're talking fully regulated. Everyone is singing Kumbaya, even the SEC, which seems unlikely, but I think it will eventually happen. And I think that you have institutions like BlackRock and hedge funds and pension funds. They're all moving into Bitcoin as part of their portfolio. It's going to be considered part of the diversified portfolio. Having said that, I think what you do is you take this trend line here from from the high of 17 to the highs of the 2021 market, and you start looking and saying, okay, that might be a good target price of where price could go. So if we just go like this, and I can extend this out a little bit more, we could potentially
Look at the fucking rise here. Look at how crazy parabolic it went.
be looking at the next cycle high. The next bull market high right now is around 90,000, but I think very likely by that time, this line is a little higher. It's upsloping, so it's probably around 100,000 at that point.
Damn, man, that would be wild.
Yeah. And this is, by the way, just to say this, guys, a lot of people say, oh, Garrett's a bear or whatever, but like, I just follow price action, right? It's just like, it's me just looking at the chart, and the chart tells me with slightly good, better probabilities than not, which way things going to go. So, you know, again, when we get in that bull market, I'm going to be a full-fledged bull when the charts tell me to be a bull. It's just until then, I have to remain skeptical.
And by the way, going off that, I heard a trader say once that I respect, trading is not about being right. Trading is about making money, meaning adjusting your position based on what the charts are telling you.
That's right. And I think that's important. A lot of people say, oh, well, he said this a year ago. Well, you know what? A good trader will change their view based on what the charts and the data is telling them. And so you have to be ready. Anyone who stays stuck in their mode and is unwilling to change will ultimately lose out.
Final question, Gareth, and I want to take trading out of this, charts out of this entirely. More of a big picture, just getting to know you. Finish this sentence.
Oh, boy.
I became successful when I understood blank.
Wow. So I became successful when I understood work ethic and discipline. And ultimately, when it comes to investing, position size was the game changer for me. Once I went from putting all my money in one position and hoping and praying to make $1 million, that's where I blew up my account. It's when I started to do the smart way, which is diversifying. That's where I started to make real money.
I love it, Gareth.
So do you guys think he diversifies in like the same type of trades? Like he just doesn't put like everything in to one trade on the same asset? Say he's trading Bitcoin. Do you think he just puts multiple trades in on Bitcoin? Or do you think he does, when he says diversification, he does Ethereum, Bitcoin, like a bunch of different coins? That's kind of what I'm wondering there.
The links for all your stuff are down below. By the way, I love you and Ben Cowan on the No Shield Zone.
Thank you.
I'm a watcher. So I encourage the audience to check that out. But final thoughts for the Altcoin Daily Army.
Wow, Altcoin Daily Army. You guys have great leaders in the two brothers here. It's amazing.
All right, now he's just puckering up, kissing ass. I'm not going to listen to that. But anyways, what do you have you guys heard that what did he say it was? What was the name of that show they have?
That's where I became.
Where is it?
It's when I started to do.
What did he say?
Thank you.
I'm a watcher.
No Shill Zone, is that what he said?
Money.
I love it, Gareth. The links for all your stuff are down below. By the way, I love you and Ben Cowan on the No Shill Zone.
Yeah, the No Shill Zone. Have you guys heard of that? I don't think I've ever heard of that, to be honest. But anyways, all right. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. We need to, look at that. We started right back where we were. Hold on, I'm trying to move shit around again. Man, working with 2 screens from 4 is so freaking hard. It changes things for sure. All right, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Mr. Max Voltage just fired up. He's pissed. It said between 24 and 30,000 for Bitcoin in the next, or by the end of the year. And he's sticking to it. I believe you, Dad. I believe you. Let's see. I think he's playing both sides of the trades. Oh, like short and long. So like he'll short some, long some, and just leave them open until they both win. Is that what you think he's talking about? Ben Cowan's show. Yeah, I've never seen it, to be honest. I don't think. Maybe I have. I don't know. No Shill Zone. Let me see. Let me just Google it. Or what's it called? Put it on YouTube. Let me see. Oh, that's right here. So this is it. As you guys can see, No Shill Zone. I don't think I've ever watched it, to be honest. I'll have to check this out. Benjamin Cohen or Cowan. Is it Cohen? Is that how you say it? I'm gonna have to watch that. I wonder if it's any good. Have you guys seen this at all? Let me know. Let me know if you've seen it. All right. Anyways. Oh, let me see. I want to do we're gonna do a mining hash rate giveaway for you guys in the chat. Let me see. It's actually going to be for everybody. So let me get to, hold on one second. We're going to be doing it on someone else's channel, Mr. Backwards Miner. He is going to give away 24-hour hash rate on his L7 for you guys, for my community. So let's go give him a sub bomb. Sorry, give me one second. I'm just trying to find him. Backwards miner. Man, if I could spell today. There we go. There we go. All right, let's do this. So this is him. We are going to, he only has 54 subs. Dude, his setup is freaking awesome. He just started making videos. He just started putting them back out a month ago. I don't know. He's going to be getting into like doing a container and stuff. He's been doing some shorts and all that stuff. So let's just, you know, let's do it on his main video. On this video he posted a month ago. It's actually a bit, you know, I'm going to mute it. I don't think he talks much, but look at his setup. Look at this shit. How sick this is. I'm going to have you guys go comment on this video, actually. Just something positive. Hashtag L7. And we will do the giveaway. I'll pull a winner at some point later on this evening or this afternoon. So here is the video. Go subscribe. And yeah, I can't believe I didn't like that video. What a dick. I watched this too. This is so cool. I must have watched it on my phone. Totally forgot. But look at this setup, dude. He's got like this in an attic with actually he does talk here. Hold on, let's see. He is talking. Oh shit. Didn't mean to do that. God damn it. The hell just happened? I'm breaking shit. All right, hold on. Oh, I go back. There we go. All right, let's see. Let's see what it says. I remember it being loud.
How's it going, guys? This is the Backwards Miner. This is just a quick introductory to the farm.
So he's kind of just showing off his stuff here.
The setup is.
Oh, look at that. Look how sick that is. All the ASICs are sideways. So this is like it's like a metal roof. I think he's like the top of like a garage or something. It's kind of cool how he's got everything set up. But he's got a lot of shit, man. So he's going to be giving away 24 hours on his L7, which is, I think, right here. Or this one.
And the rest of the L7s.
And, yeah.
L7s. Mixed rig.
Dude, crazy. It's so much shit. Are you guys still mining with ASICs? Do you guys have ASICs still? You guys still mining? Let me see. What do you got in the chat?
This is the intake wall.
The intake wall's sick, too. Look at that.
25 by 25 by 2.
These are the washable ones, and these are the throwaway furnace ones.
And then MERV 8 filter up top for better airflow for the ASICs.
So
Since
cool.
These are pulling the air through. You can put a little bit harder of a filter on, and then it will be able to grab easier.
Oh, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's got 4x12s, and then he's got like some other cases. I don't know what these are. Maybe Roswell's or something. I don't know. Who knows the cases these are? Anybody in the chat? Let me know.
For the air.
Let me see. But yeah, guys, something positive. Just hashtag L7, and I'll have him. Well, we'll pull a winner on his video at some point in the near future. MERV 11. Perfect, perfect. Yeah, go comment on this, guys. Just something positive. Like, subscribe to him. Let's get him up to 100 subs. That'd be amazing. You guys are all awesome. Let me see. I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna let you guys go finish watching it, but I want to see. We got 66 subs. Come on, let's get him up to 100. You guys can do that. Be amazing. But yeah, he's gonna give away 24 hours hash rate on his L7. So huge shout out to you, Backwards Miner. Thank you so much for doing that. It's amazing. I appreciate it. I'm gonna do 3 different VIPs this week for the hash rate giveaway because I missed the last 2 weeks. I actually have to go record at some point today and try to get a video out tomorrow, but it is my son's birthday tomorrow, so it's gonna be a lot of shit going on today. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to make a video, but I'll do my best. Either way, we'll pull it on either some shorts or something else. I don't know. We'll figure it out. All right, let me see. You guys have any other questions before we get out of here? We're gonna go raid Crypto Mikkel. He is actually live right now. Let's see. The cold months are coming. Are you planning on turning more on and heat the house? Yes. So what I'm going to do is I would love to turn on the X16Q. I actually need to do another video on that for jinglemining.com. If you guys haven't seen them, they are available now, and they're hopefully going to be super profitable when the bull run comes back with Ethereum Classic. I'm hoping it takes a pump, but we'll see. But yeah, so I'll set up that because that's got Wi-Fi, so that's awesome. Then the mini box miners, if I need to put them anywhere around the house. The X4Q, I have that I actually got that little TP-Link adapter. So it's not Wi-Fi, but it runs like the connection between the 2 access points. Like you plug in one down at your router and, you know, plug it into the actual 24 port switch or whatever I have in the closet there. Then you just plug the other one in on the other side somewhere else and just right to the unit, and it works mint. I don't know. It's kind of like, it's strange actually how it works. I have no idea. Like runs over the power lines, but the thing's pretty cool. So I'll be running that probably in the garage to keep it warm for the kids. And then actually I have a bathroom in there too, so that's probably a good thing. I should probably do that, definitely. And then the Jazz Miner X4 1U I'll probably leave in the solar trailer to keep the batteries warm like I did last year. All right, lizard in the house. Everyone was screaming, including the dog. You got a lizard in your house? That's terrible. Let me see. Setting buy limits. What are you saying, Nerd Beast? Max voltage in crypto, mining in crypto. I agree. Setting limits is the only chance we will have to even try and catch that if it drops. Oh yeah, down to 15. Yeah, you have. I don't know. You know what? Like, I would never be able to just leave, like, say if you wanted to buy $5 grand of Bitcoin or something, if it dropped down to 15K, I'd never be able to just leave an open order hoping that it hits 15 for $5 grand. You know what I mean? Because it would just be sitting there. It would just be money sitting there on the exchange. So it would make me super nervous. It really depends how much, but that's a good point. I mean, if you want to catch it, it's the only way to do it. Who names their kids loose change? No, it was a joke. I forget. So it was obviously chump change, pocket change, right? I think it was someone in the chat came up with loose change and then spare change for the two kids. That was ridiculous, but anyways, yes, thank you very much. He's gonna be turning 3 tomorrow, so I have a bunch of shit to do. Anyways, all right, let's get into Mr. Crypto Mikkel's stream. He's live right now, so hopefully you guys have a good day. Enjoy your Saturday. I'll catch you guys later on this evening on Misfit Mining Saturday Night Live. I gotta figure out how to get out of here before I go too far. And then yeah, I'm gonna redirect you right over to them, and I'll pick that winner in a little bit. So hopefully you guys again have a good day, and we will we'll touch base soon. Don't forget to go comment on that video, something positive, and hashtag L7, and I'll catch you guys in a bit. Peace out.